loving these, but today, okay, but today we're going to be using the shark fin razor, and I'm going to be doing it kind of like an inverted texture bob for you guys. I'm starting off with the 4 quadrants of the head here just to kind of keep it simple and organized. So if you want to do ear to crown, and then the back there into the 4 quadrants, and then I'm going to be starting off in the back by creating an A-line section here at the bottom, a little triangle. And we're going to start by doing that. I'll get a little visual here in a second. Right from the occipital down. Like that. And this cut again is going to be done with a razor. I like to use razors with guards because I won't hurt myself or the guest. So that's why I do like working with the shark fin and then buying the blades. I usually buy the blades from here. The feather ones from, I can't ever say. Do you know how to say their name correctly? Jatai? I don't know. These are the ones I use.
Yeah, we use, and the blades we use in our razors is literally, the brand name is called Feather brand.
Feather. Okay. I was trying to think of their like, I know it's a Feather razor, but their actual name brand. But I never spell it correctly. Jatai. Jatai? I don't know. But yeah.
Howdy.
I've been using them forever. Okay, so we're just going to create this little section back here, and then I'll show you guys. Just like that. And an A-line to about, it's about 1 inch, the hairline there, depending on what kind of mannequin or guest you're working with. So we're going to start off with this. And assuming what I like to do, depending on the thickness of the guest hair, if they have really thick hair, I'll pretty much probably take most of this off and then start my bob like it's like an undercut a little bit under there to give it a little volume, and also not to have to worry about the corners. But what I'm going to do here, because she has thinner hair, I'm going to put a little bit of this up, just about a 1/2 inch. Let's preserve that length. Not like that. And I know many of you have worked with bobs before, and it's like the most annoying thing with a bob is always for me is these pieces that are down here. So I like to just go ahead and get rid of those, especially if you have a fun client that don't mind. I'm going to take the razor. Let's start in the middle. I'm basically going to come down with my razor, leaving it about 1 inch, out at a 45, and just take that all off. Go side, go ahead and get rid of all that. And then the other side. Going to wet her. You want to make sure when you're doing a razor cut that their hair is very wet. Since I'm getting rid of this, I really don't care. And then I'm going to make sure I clean up her hairline here too, because I want to get rid of all that funkiness so it don't stick out underneath my inverted bob. Does anybody have any questions on that? Just go ahead and getting rid of it, taking it to their hairline. You don't have to shave it off, but at least get it kind of shorter, because you kind of want the fullness there to pop the bob out a little bit right there. So having a little bit of length will do that.
Short hair
Any
pushes.
questions? Huh?
Short hair pushes long hair.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. So then we'll start with our next section. Go ahead and bring down that little baby we put up. I probably should just put that into the top section, but she had thick hair. You probably want to go ahead and get rid of most of that. All right, so again, making sure you're working with really wet hair. Also, a little tip, took me years to figure out, is always work with a brand new razor too. Brand new razor on the fresh head, and then sometimes you have to use two razors depending on the thickness of it. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of start our bob right at the bottom length of this that we took right there. Just a little bit lower so those little pieces don't stick out. So let's come on and drop the head all the way down. Always remember your guest can move their head. So we're gonna go ahead and drop it down like that. Make sure she's even. Starting in the middle. We're just gonna come in with our razor at a 45 again. The razor's actually at 45. But you kind of want to get just a straight line there, but you don't want to shred the cuticle too much. We're going to do just a square right in the back and measure it. She's looking good. And then this way with their neck drop, when they sit up, there's going to be a little bit more length there. So we won't have to worry about it poking out or anything. Go ahead and drop this section. We're working above the occipital now. Take about an inch section. Again, still on a slight A-line angle. Because we want to create length towards the face. Get that out of the way. I find a razor really helps me get through a bob so much faster, especially if they don't mind a textured one that's not like pinpoint precision based haircut, because they might want the texture or they might want to curl it and make it look fun. And a razor, you can still have all that like uniformity if you want it. You can get it kind of uniform by going in like this straight across, but you can also make it fun by texturizing it. Kind of have to tell the guests though, you know, they go home and they curl their hair is not gonna be precisely even. So, especially if you start texturing to the interior. Starting to kind of over direct, trying to create some length here on the sides, because I'm going to be dealing with this ear here in a second. Nice thing about a guard is as long as they don't have any moles or anything like that, you can kind of go in there on the skin, get rid of some of that extra hair that might be hanging. Another inch section.
So when you go in there afterwards and you do what you just did, you're just cleaning up, right? Visually, you're
Yes.
seeing things you want to clean up.
Yeah, seeing things poking out that I don't want to see, and just go in with the razor, get those off. A lot of times, even in other haircuts, I'll just use the razor to clean the skin, just because you might whip out the trimmers, and some guests will be like, oh my gosh, she's gonna shave my hair. So yeah, I'll use my razor a lot of times to just go in and clean up hair. But yeah, these little pieces, Just because she's a mannequin, she's sticking out down there. Make sure she's wet. Okay. So you're starting to see we're getting a little inverted. It's gonna start hanging nice and beveled at this point, but I want to put some texture in there afterwards and spice it up a little bit. We're just following our guide. But yeah, I find a razor just gets through hair so much faster. With razors, huh?
What are a couple of things you should think about before using a razor on someone's hair? Texture.
Well, definitely the texture of the hair. Whether the guest, I like to ask if the guest has ever had a razor cut and if they're okay with a razor cut. And also, you know, if they're not okay with the razor cut, ask them why, because they probably had a bad experience. And so you can educate them on maybe, you know, the way they, you know, that was done might not have been the best way to do a razor cut. And that you don't necessarily have to have shredded hair for a razor cut. That's all like fine and thin and piecey. You know, you can still have a very thick haired razor cut. It's just not super, you know, straight like a regular scissor. But yeah, making sure the texture, because certain textures, if you use a razor on it, or if you go in with the razor on a wrong angle, you just could shred the hair and just get complete frizz. So if someone had kind of like a fuzzy, frizzy hair texture and it got like, you know, just frizzy like that, I would want to make sure that they would maybe be curling it if they really wanted a razor cut, or flat ironing it, because it'll just kind of, to me, it'll just get really frizzy.
Yeah, because the way the razor finishes the cuticle completely different than a pair of scissors.
Yes. Yes. And I mean, there's certain ways you can use the razor to make sure you're going in at the right angle. You know, if you go kind of on a slight angle and you're kind of chopping it on a slight angle, you're getting through it quicker. But if you're shredding the hair like this, you know, you're really working on those cuticles, which can really make it look damaged and dry, because nobody wants a fresh haircut and it look like, you know, it's been like they need a bad haircut, you know, because they shredded the crap out of it with the razor. But and if something like that, they want something like that, because nowadays the what's it called, the shags are coming back and they're very textured like that. You know, just educating the guests that this is what we're doing, you know, this is how you should style it to make sure that, you know, it's okay. And then letting them know that, you know, we really texturize your hair, so don't get upset if it ain't even. You know, so
perfect.
I don't know, do you have any other input?
Sounds great.
Sounds good. All right, we're going to keep going. Starting in the middle here. I'm going to start using the wider side of my comb. A lot of times underneath, I'll use more tension. And then I try to start using like a little bit less tension here, because it's, you know, we got to working with cowlicks and stuff like that. So start using my wider side of my comb. And seeing my guide under there. She's right about there. I'm gonna go ahead on a 45, trim that out. And this is going to create a nice, try to bring it forward. Not such a blunt end. It's kind of nice and piecey. See that?
Yes.
But still even, you know, but not necessarily, you know, super thinned out like some razors can. Right, so this side. Got that length there. See my guide there. Down. And there's our back. I'm going to put her up. Make sure she's even.
Could we get a side view, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So that's so far. I'm going to connect her front, and then we'll maybe do some texturizing throughout this area. Yes, it is a YS part comb. So I am going to let you guys know I wrote down everything that I love to use when it comes to cutting. So this is a YS Park. This is a cutting comb. And this is the 339 fine cutting comb. This is what I use for my around the hairline, any kind of tension cutting I might need, fine sections, finer hair, stuff like that. Definitely around the hairline. And then when I get into with thicker hair, I use this for my layering. And this is a wider tooth cutting comb by YS Park. And this is the 338. So these are the two cutting combs. And these are my go-tos when I'm cutting. And then this is my go-to when I'm styling and foiling. I feel like an advertiser for YS Park right now. All right, let's get to our side. Go ahead and leave that in our side there. And I'm gonna part right there on the parietal ridge. There. Now this area has been pretty challenging since we've all been wearing masks. So it's really important that you make sure you get that hair from behind their ear if they have their mask on. Because otherwise when they go home, they're gonna have some long hair under there. All right. So now we're gonna connect the front to the back. And I usually, again, around this area, a lot of times I'll use my more attention, but sometimes not, depending on how thick their hair is, because they do have a little pop-up that will happen right here because of the ear. So she has fine hair, so I'm going to use the wider part. And now I'm just going to kind of over direct backwards and start creating a nice little angle coming in with my razor here at 45. So I'm not shredding the hair. I'm creating a nice line, but it's textured. So I'll do this one and I'll show you guys. That.
So you're using over direction and finger positioning because your fingers are angled a little forward, you know, longer in the front, shorter in the back.
Yes, yes. So let me show you the edge of this. Let's see if we can get in here. So you see how we've created length, but again, the edge is nice and it's wispy. It's not so blunt like, so it's going to create that texture, movement, flow. It's going to be nice when they style it with a, you know, flat iron or curling iron. And then I'm going to bring down the next section, take about another inch. Just keep connecting it, making sure she's wet. I did prep her with some leave-in. I feel like, you know, if you use a leave-in conditioner, it kind of stays in better and it helps to glide on the hair too with the razor. So again, bringing this back to this section here. Right behind the ear. I'm going to start angling that hair with the over direction. Meeting it up with the guide in the front. And then I like to just go back through. So here we got our little angle. Just kind of check the ends. Make sure they're not too funky like that one up there. In that case, a lot of times I'll go in straight with the razor on like a 90 straight in. So yeah, there she's going. Pick the next one. Any questions so far?
All good right now.
Not yet. Back here, depending on the calyx, where the hair distributes, I always like to make sure my inverted bobs are even no matter which way. Like I have a thing with having little hairs hang over, so a lot of times I'll make sure that it's connected in the back, you know, sides, all that. So right here, if you notice, when I pull it back, we have hair hanging. So I'm gonna go ahead and match that up with the back. Get that out of the way. And now I'll get back to my over directing guide here on the side, bringing it back, create length in the front. Just coming down, almost like slide cutting. That's that side. And that's without any internal texturizing, that's just the bottom. Right, the parietal ridge.
Looking great, Rebecca. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Trying. Getting her all in here. Again, creating that. Probably should be working on the other side where I belong, but I decided to try this.
Sometimes we have to keep in mind that we are cutting in positions because we're recording the class on camera. So sometimes we're in different cutting positions than what we would typically be in the
Yeah, exactly. Taking an intersection here. Back in my normal cutting position. Directing. About mild tension. I mean, you need tension to be able to razor, so. But not necessarily like you would a precision cut. You guys will have to shoot over to our page because I'll show the final afterwards of a styler. Make her look all cute. So these pieces come back here. I want to get rid of those. They're back. Directing it that way. I really need to clean up that hairline and get a nicer angle. I'll come in here rather than here and really clean that up better. Now the test. Is she even? She might be a little longer on the side. No, good. Sometimes if I'm a little concerned as to if they're even, I'll kind of bring their hair all down like this and just make sure it's connected. Get rid of this little piece here, right in the middle. She's good. All right, so now we got that perimeter done. Let's do a little texturizing. This is probably the simplest way to do this. We want to keep it pretty much kind of one length, but we want a little layers in here. And a lot of times I'll do this when I'm afraid that when they move their part, they say they have a side part and this long hair ends up coming over that's a lot longer. I'll do that, do this little technique. But all I do is I take about inch sections through the top on both sides. Lift everything straight up and just take off that little tip that's right. I'm trying to show you right there. That little piece that will ends up being like a little triangle, so I kind of just get rid of that. And that'll create a little flow right there on the bottom of the hair. And then I'll use my guide from the last section, go in to this section, drop some hair. You'll see that little triangle there. You can see it?
Yes.
Take that off. And at this point, the way I take off the hair is I use my razor like this and I just basically peel it off. It's the best way I could describe it. Do you have a better way of describing it?
Not really, but because it's guarded, you're really pushing it right up against your thumb.
Yeah, right up against your fingers. So just like
that pressure takes
another one. Take that off.
Yep.
Yeah, the pressure between your finger and the razor just takes it right off. That's how I layer. So like, and then right here, I'm going to connect what I just did. There's my guide. And now I'm connecting it. Right there in the cowlick, the area of distribution back here. Take a little triangle. Bring it straight up. Just make sure it's even. If not, there's a little triangle up there. Take that off. I'll get rid of just that little bit on the ends to kind of get some flowing movement there on the ends. And then next, I like to feel where it's heavy. And then kind of just go in. She's real heavy right here. Kind of just go in and lighten it up so that she has a little bit of texture. So with this, it's going to be more of a surface. I like to cut out, like, let's say like V's. Go in there and slice through the interior and create a V on each side of the section there pretty much. Can you see that?
Yes, yes.
Go in, create a V on that side, and then connect it kind of like right there.
What's important there is she's not, Becca is not taking a ton of hair. It's all surface level.
Yeah, very surfacey. Just kind of creating a little, it's still one length, but it'll have a little flow. Let me try another one. Going on this side and kind of surface that angle and then that one. So do that every few. That way it's not taking too much bulk off, but it's helping it move. So you guys can see. Right there, and then on this side. And that's going to create some flow. The front, I'm going to leave the front. This is where you gotta be careful of, because you can really put some holes in there and see what it looks like after it's done. If it's too heavy, maybe go in with some texturizing shears or your scissors.
Less is more around the hairline.
Yes. Yeah, you gotta be careful. That part out. All right. Let's see how she's looking.
I think it's so important, like when the hair is wet and you see the shape and you see the movement, if you're already seeing and you like it and there's no
That's gonna be,
product
yeah.
in it, you haven't hit it with product, you haven't hit it with heat, and you're already seeing what you want, it's just going to look even better when you style it.
Yes. That's the best part. And then just trying to clean up the underneath there. But yeah, so she has that inverted. We blow dryer. She should just naturally come stacked and down. And then a lot of times once I blow dryer too, that's when I'll go in and see if there's any touching up I need to do. Sometimes I might need to bring out my scissors because I really don't like using razors on dry hair.
Right.
But for the most part, she has the texture, the length in the front. And you could totally do this as a lob too. This was just, I like doing it with bobs.
Looks great, Becca.
You're my favorite. Thank you. And I'll style it for you guys. And then we'll get that one, I guess, on your social media and mine.
Yeah, so we typically we don't style during the classes because the blow dryer, etc. So what we'll do is Becca's either going to send me pictures of the finished product and we'll post it on our page, or she'll post it on her page, or both. So what was your page again?
We'll do both. Be Kind Hair, BeKindHair.
Thank you so much for joining us, and let's tell Becca congratulations. She had a granddaughter that's a week old today. She's very excited to go and see. So thank you for taking time out of your day to join us.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad I was able to work with this one.
Awesome. Have a great day.
Hopefully to many more.
Yes, for sure. We'll see you again. Thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
See you guys later.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.